Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. My name is Sean Hardy. I am our GM, DM for our podcast, and just kind of running the whole world. And before we get started today, and let's go ahead and let everyone introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kate Kazarchik Johnson, and I play Nori.
Hi, this is Dan, and I'm playing Cass.
Hi, this is Julie Perez, and I play Frog.
Yeah, so a little recap for everyone. At the end of the last episode, we actually got through a lot in the last episode, so you all first got off the ship, took a short rest, experienced some changes within yourselves, and then kind of closed out a little character arcs for each of you. Frog said goodbye to Dolly and Midge, and Cass, you stopped by and kind of closed out your room at Dusty's, saying you'll be back if you need to be, before all setting off, in which we found a field for Nori's family to have a little moment, meeting Seth and Elto, two brothers who were kind of trapped in time. Nori said some really concerning things, and everyone got a little upset at her, but we moved on and made it to the city of Fel. In Fel, you all entered in through the new gate, which required a very hefty tax, and while in town kind of realized that it's been taking a lot of hits on commerce, explored the town a bit, with Frog finding the tavern run by Dakota and seeing how her business is failing, and Cass and Nori going to the market and kind of seeing the impact on businesses. And through some activism and some sketchy purchases, Cass got invited to receive a letter to aid the town out. And you are all kind of sitting in the tavern now, trying to plan what you're going to do for the rest of the day before this meeting. So, players, I turn it over to you. What do?
Well, I think we have some stuff to identify, in addition to our 4 random potions.
8.
8?
Yeah, you each bought 4 random potions.
Oh, so our 8 random potions, and then the stuff that we got from the ship, which I think I'll still need a recap on exactly who grabbed what, because I know we were running out of there pretty quickly. I think I grabbed some scrolls, or did you grab the scrolls, Frog?
Frog grabbed the spells.
So maybe we can sit down, because how long do we have before the meeting tonight?
The meeting tonight would probably be in an hour or two, but also we all didn't do anything with the day. So if we want to take a step back and say during the day you're doing this kind of casting, that works out fine because we didn't establish anything happening during the day.
Well, then maybe we just do that before we head in. Just so that way we don't have to worry about doing it later. I think Nori, because of her attention span, is gonna really want to do the 4 potions she just bought, and then identify the 4 potions she just bought, and then do the other things that she grabbed / pay attention to what Frog and Cass are doing. So if I could pull out my little ritual book and flip to the back, or my little notebook, flip to the back, and go to my now ritual section, I will cast Identify and try and identify these 4 random potions that I have.
Okay. Sounds good. Cass, do you have something?
No, I was about to say, I was as she's doing this, I'm just gonna sort of pull out my 4 and shake them at her, reminding hey, we have these as well if we want to try to get these done.
I'm sorry, would you like me to help you? To do something for you? I mean, sure, I can gladly do that for you, but maybe you don't need to just ring them in front of me or look at them in front of me. So I will take Cass's 4 other potions and put them on the table or in my area, and then
include them in the identify. Yeah. Okay, cool. Then I think what I did for these potions is I made a table 1 through 10, what they are. So either you can each roll a d10 and we'll count that one as the one that is not picked, or you can both pick a number 1 through 10, and we will just remove those 2 from the list. However you want to do it.
I'll roll a d10. Alright, Dan will roll 1 too. Alright, I got 8, and Dan got a lovely number 4.
Okay, so removing 8 and 4 from the list. So yeah, as you're doing them, the first one you come across, Nori, looks like a healing potion, but it's not giving off any magic at all. So it's either the potion went wrong or there's something else about it, but it is not a magic item in any way.
Okay, so it's like a dud.
Yeah, it doesn't have any magic properties to it at all.
Okay.
The second one you find has a potion, and it is a potion of keen sense.
Ooh.
The third one you find is a potion of heroism, a potion of second chance.
Oh, that is so nice.
The third one, or whichever number we're on, is a potion of comfort. You also get a potion of temporary flight. The last 2 are potions of stone skin, as well as a potion of foresight, which will give you 2 portent rolls until your next long rest in like the manner of a divination wizard.
Wow. This dude that in real time, if we're sitting around the table together, I'll be saying all of these things to both Cass and Frog. I'll say, aside from this like one potential dud healing spell or non-magical potion rather, these are all pretty good. This guy must be pretty awesome, because it was the shopkeeper's son who just made them randomly. Okay.
Yeah, she let you know that like he makes them like to work essentially on his like alchemy skills, and that he went to Solana to the academy to like study magic and stuff. Like in any of you that would have been in the city, you know that like the Solana Academy is like, it's essentially a graduate school for people that want to get into high levels in their class. And so like he is someone that got accepted into like the high level alchemy department, and so like he's probably a very good mixologist wizard.
Nice.
Cool. And then
we'll just continue, or I'll do identify whenever I need to in terms of getting the other things I identified.
It lasts for a minute. No, like it just, you're able to do it and you've got time, so like you can get the rest of them done. The other things that you find are those couple of spell scrolls that you had, and they come out to be a scroll of water breathing, a scroll of false life, a scroll of sending, a scroll of jump, and a scroll of silent image. As well as the bag you found is a bag of holding, so you could easily keep everything inside of there. And then I think the last thing that you would find, the identify spell, it kind of has a hard time really pinpointing it down. You know it's some sort of divination magic, but staring at it and like kind of looking into it, you're able to see that this is Raken's warlock contract with Umberly, that when his ship was going down, he agreed in some way to make a pact with her to continue offering her gold, and he could stay alive in his half state. So you find a pretty cool warlock contract.
Wow. I'm the only one doing this, right? Like we've established that. Okay, Frog and Cass. So I think, depending on how Cass, you, and Frog feel, would you guys be okay with me taking the water breath, and I can include that in my new rituals? Or just use it because I think that would be important to the general personhood of myself, because I can't find another way to say it. Just because I am so connected with the water and through my god, I think that would be pretty cool if you guys would be okay with that. Yes.
Huh?
Nori will take the water breath and put it
Frog
in her
has no
ritual book,
objection.
but I'll do that at our long rest. And then say to Cass and Frog, if you guys feel like you have other uses for the other 4 scrolls, let me know. And then also this rapier, I don't really think I need it. I kind of like my little hammer. I'm gonna whoosh it out and then put it back away for dramatic effect. And say, would either one of you like it or want to discuss what scrolls you would like?
No, that's fine. That would leave me
Frog
with
wants
sending
false
and
life and jump if
What?
Cass is not opposed.
silent image. Sure, I'll take those 2. That's no big deal.
Okay. And then how do you guys feel about the rapier?
I have no need for it. Frog, are you good with what you have at the moment? I'm not usually use ranged, so I wasn't sure.
For Nori
Frog-
knowledge, would I know the
Yeah, Frog got the scimitar, so she's
extent
good
of
with that.
what a bag of holding can hold without sounding
Yeah.
stupid?
Yeah, as long as it can really hold anything and like people can breathe and stuff in there. Just don't put it into another bag of holding or a portable hole, because then you'll implode the universe.
Okay, so then I will put the rapier in there and say, well, I'll put it in the bag of holding and I'll keep it as a note if we feel like we need it. Or if we ever want to sell it, it might be useful because we also does it have any interesting aspects about it?
Yeah. It's able to do more damage on a crit.
So maybe it's worth some money, or I feel like it has like a little bit extra like little jazziness to it. So we can sell it for some money at some point. And then I'll take out the warlock, my goodness, warlock pact scroll and just be like waving it around a little bit. Not in like a showboaty way, but in a like a fidget toy type of way. Like I'm just fidgeting with it and being like, I wonder what we should do with this. And just twirl it around and maybe put it next to Cass and smack him with it a couple times.
As Nori's doing this, Cass is just going to ignore it for the first little bit and then just try to snatch it out of her hand after she just is annoying him with it.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to contest that. So
Sure.
if we could do it for a little roll.
Yeah, I guess it's a sleight of hand check, so go ahead and roll opposed sleight of hands.
Okay, totally. I don't think I have any modifiers to that anyway. Yeah, 13?
15.
Oh, darn it.
So you put it a little bit too close and just very swiftly yanks it out of your hand.
And then the last thing, and Nori won't pay any matter of fact to it. I think Nori would know that that might be something important for Cass to hold on to, just in terms of his own class and knowing that he's kept a lot of things safe, and that seems like a pretty important thing to keep safe. So Nori won't have any problem with that. And then with the 8 potions rather, I'll just ask Cass, are there any of them that you want to specifically keep, or do you just want to have 4 and 4? Maybe we'll split them right down the middle.
I don't think there's anything too specific to either of us. My only suggestion would be that you take Second Chance and Stone Skin, since you are very much like to swing your hammer. I'm just gonna mimic the motion she did earlier. And other than that, I don't think there's really a good split of these. So you take those two, pick whichever two other ones you like, and I'll take the remaining.
Okay, I'll take.
I will take the dud though. The
Take
one.
dud.
Yeah.
Dud. Okay. I will take. Yeah, I was gonna say second chance and stone skin. How about you take the flight, because I can already fly. I know what my actual like time in air is, so to speak. I'll keep keen sense, and then frog. When we're like in battle, how do you feel like you compare to our meatiness? And this is more of like Kate asking who has the lowest HP.
At this point, Cass is just gonna go get a drink really quick. Do the eatiness being used.
Frog is not super meaty. And
Okay, I have. Jeez Louise. Okay, I'm gonna just give this to Frog. So I'll do the. You can have the heroism.
26 hit points is your answer.
Cass is walking away. I'll be like, Cass, no, whatever. And I'll give the foresight potion to Frog as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thinking that could potentially be helpful for just casting. So then Cass has the other ones. Perfect.
And going back to you, Cass, as you walked away, you said you were off to do something, but it kind of got cut out. So, like, what was it that you
I was just gonna go to the bar and see if there's anything to drink.
Okay, yeah. Dakota's up there. She has her 5 copper per pint ales, if you wanted to get something like that. She also like has a reserve if you wanted something harder that you could look out for.
Looking back at the table, Cass will opt for the harder option.
Okay. Yeah, are you thinking like wine or like a mixed drink type of thing?
Wine would be fine.
Well, then yeah, like just for like 6 copper pieces, you can get a decent red, or for like a silver, you can get like a bottle of a good red or white.
Okay, I'll just take a bottle.
Okay. And then as you're coming back, and Nori has given you the dud healing potion, if you want to do any sort of check to try and figure out what it is non-magically, you can.
Yeah, I was actually going to do that as soon as I got back. That's why I was taking that one.
Survival, medicine, nature, anything like that.
We'll do survival, medicine, or nature, you said, between those 3?
Yeah.
We'll do... Oh, I am a dummy. Okay, we'll do nature.
Okay.
6.
It's there. It's a weird liquid.
Knowing that he can't actively identify what this is at the moment, and figuring that they are probably looking at him, I'm just gonna... Cass will just hold it up, sort of like swirl it in front of him, just be like, just like mumble to himself.
And Nori's just gonna look at him and be like, did you figure it out, Cass?
A little bit more complicated than I was originally thinking.
And Nori is going to insight check him.
Roll insight, Cass, roll deception, or persuasion, your choice.
Let me see with my insight. I don't think I'm very insightful. No, I am. Oh,
It's like you're extremely insightful.
I'm very insightful. Oh.
But also, Dan is extremely charismatic, so deception and persuasion are his area.
I got a 22 as well.
Oh, we both got 22s, so...
Yeah. You take it at face value. Like, you might feel a little sus, but you can't prove there's anything to that statement. You're all sitting there eating your dinner, and someone just comes up and like drops a letter on your table, and I think, Cass, they would drop it right in front of you. And when you open it up, it's written with like a cipher. Like there's a little like sliding block thing that you can move around on top to find the letters, so that if the like message itself got dropped, it wouldn't be incriminating. But but you find out that if you go to the market and go like to the back of the main statue in the main area, you can go underneath and there's a cavern opening, and if you can show them the cipher and the letter, you all would be welcome there around midnight.
Midnight is so late. Oh, sorry. Cass, are you telling us this as you're reading it?
Yeah. Cass relays the information to the group, just letting them know what's going on and telling them that he'll be attending for sure.
What time is it now again?
Probably like 7 p.m.
Nori will grudgingly say, "Yeah, it's just a little bit past my bedtime. That's fine." And be open to hearing what maybe Cass has to say. Cass, did you have any, like, body language reactions to reading the note?
No, I was gonna say, it's like we already know that there's things happening in the village that aren't great. So the surprise meeting isn't exactly out of the ordinary for the situation the town is in.
Right. Sorry, I think that's more of a, like, Nori partially would understand that you would have a strong pull towards wanting to help, right? Or, like, know more about the situation, if that makes any sense. It's like, would Nori have that knowledge?
I wouldn't say at this point, no. I was about to say, be pretty calm and collected at this point about what's going on.
I think given that, Nori would pull out her journal, like look back through some of her notes, and then be internally monologuing things along the lines of, well, why are we going to this meeting? And before then, not in the tavern itself, but maybe in our walk to a place, ask Cass, like, is this important? Like, I'm not quite understanding the context of the importance in this human or non-Fae realm. Could you explain some of that to me? Just to provide a better understanding.
Yeah, I think Frog, you've been kind of like sitting here all depresso. So if there's anything you wanted to add to that as well.
Yeah, Frog, as soon as like the letter comes, will perk up and like get really excited. And after hearing what Cass has to say about it, she, remembering the reaction she got before when she poked at Fellman, will then kind of cover her mouth with her hand and whisper, "Yeah, fuck Lord Fellman," and is clearly very ready to go help out.
And would you elaborate in any sort of way that like Nori is trying to get more information, or are you also kind of keeping it down low?
Keeping it down low, especially with like the location that we're in right now, at least.
And noticing both of their body languages and their keeping it inward, because words are great, Nori will also make sure that she remains like even keel, like she was trying really hard to when they were with the pirates, and be like super chill and really, awesome, and not super up there and bubbly like she normally would be.
Yeah, and if there isn't anything you all want to do prep-wise, I know, Cass, you had mentioned earlier you wanted to send a letter of some kind, but if there's anything else anyone wanted to do, we can get that done. Otherwise, it can just be like a short rest / downtime before you head out for this meeting.
Frog would like to use the downtime to learn some of these spells. So we have like 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough to learn both her spells, so.
Nori would like to make sure that we talk about her appearance, because the wraps are the charge of the wraps are coming to a conclusion. And so just to make sure I'm not drawing any type of unwanted attention, so Nori is open to taking any and all advice from Frog or Cass and bending a little bit that way. So, Cass, Frog, any suggestions for how I should appear at this meeting?
I don't. Go ahead, Frog.
Frog has invisibility if you want to just vibe and not be seen.
Okay.
How long does that last?
An hour, I think.
Which is the same as the like bracers would last.
Oh, like they still have an
think
hour
that-
left. Or
Yeah,
So
I
it's
think
like
that.
because we recharge on a short rest, like Nori could recast it right before going, and it would last an hour.
okay, then never mind.
I think we keep that as a backup plan in case this runs a little longer than expected, though.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. So, I'll make sure that I rest enough in my short rest that the bracers recharge.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay. All right, Cass. Yeah.
I'll be working on just a quick letter to an acquaintance of mine from back in my hometown, trying to get some information about what's going on in the town and see if he has any information on exactly what's happened in the past few months in terms of like how the village sort of has gone downhill in a sense, and how long this new ruler sort of has been in place over this area.
Yeah, and you'd be able to get that to the couriers before their last call, so like it wouldn't be that hard to send it out today. You might even get a response tomorrow, depending if they can get it there, and then if your companion writes a response fast enough. But you know that they'll probably get it in the morning.
Yeah. And other than that, I probably will just take a quick glance, since that won't take too long. I'll take a quick glance over the Warlock contract and just sort of see if there's anything interesting or anything that would be beneficial to myself related to it specifically.
Yeah. How do you if you think that you're kind of like looking at it more in terms of like understanding the magic being provided, go ahead and do like an arcana check. If you think you're looking at it more in terms of like how warlock contracts are written and how they like communicate like loopholes and stuff, go ahead and make like an investigation or intelligence check. Or if you think you're just trying to like figure out like the intention behind it, go ahead and make either an insight or charisma check, depending on like what Cass is looking for and trying to learn from reading someone else's contract.
I think it's going to be more the second one, trying to understand how the contract is exactly formed and like loopholes that could be available and what the pact truly represents.
Okay.
So that'll be investigation, I believe you said, right?
Yep.
Let's see. So that's... Oh boy. 22 at 20.
Nice. Oh, and wow, very good. I think here you kind of get like a feeling of like you are able to tune into your own arcane understanding and like delve in, even though like your magic didn't seem to be the same sort of magic that this one had. Your magic does seem to come from some sort of like water based stuff, and this was a contract with like a sea god, and so like you kind of just get like one of those things where like you know a parallel situation, so it reads in a bit more. You kind of understand that the way this contract was written was very much a like, you want to stay alive, I want to keep getting offerings, so as long as you can continually give me money, I don't care what happens to you. Like, you stay alive as long as you want, as long as money keeps coming to me. In the event that you die, like, your whole realm is going down with you, so like, any allies you have, whether they're aware or not, if they join you, you're essentially signing them into this pact as well. Any money you have is mine, not yours. You can expend it when you want, so that like you can keep yourself healthy. But any gold you get is my gold and is not yours, and you will not have material goods. And it's a lot of like this moment. The person cried out, like Raken cried out, like as he was essentially dying. And so Umberly came back with, "I'll give you what you're asking for, but in return, I'm getting much more than you are."
Yeah, Cass will just sort of keep it to himself and just sort of tuck it away in his tome that he carries, just for future reference. Sort of seeing the what could be much more negative sides of the Warlock packs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Cass will just tuck that in his book and sort of just relax for the remainder of the time, just going through his supplies that he went through, making sure everything's in order in case something were to go awry.
Sounds good. Cool. Well, then, a little bit of time passes after each of you finishes your activities, and as the town gets shrouded in darkness and the night rises, you all make your way to the center of the market, to a chamber hidden underneath a giant statue of Jarl's Bellman. When you get there, there's like someone that would have been a shopkeep, like hand. So I think Cass, you'd recognize from like the Marshall store, like just one of the employees who was like restocking stuff is standing outside and like is taking a very unassumed role, but is like very carefully checking who's coming, who's going, only admitting people when the coast is clear and nobody would be able to like pinpoint what's going on. And you can go up to him with your letter, and he seems to like know what's going on.
Yeah, so I'll approach and just sort of, at this point, I'll have my hood up. Just it's later in the night, so just more or less trying to blend in with what the group is doing or what the crowd is doing. Hood up, go up, sort of slide him the letter, sort of inconspicuously, and just give him a nod and see if we're good to go.
Yeah, he waits a little bit until like some passerbys go on, and then like clicks his foot into like part of the ground, like clicks his heel into it, and you see like a doorway open up into like a base of stairs, and you're able to head on in.
Okay, Cass will head in and just sort of look behind and make sure that Frog and Nori are following, and that Nori's not doing anything obnoxious.
Nori will very nonchalantly walk in, also making sure that on our walk over, I reuse the bracers, keeping a very conscious eye on the time to make sure that if this meeting does go over, I would have mentioned to Frog earlier that like maybe if I nudge her or like talk to her a little bit, that I'll need her to cast invisibility at some point, or just to watch out to make sure that I will be dropping a foot, right? Like I'll be shrinking because I'm now 4
Last
feet.
week you grew yourself up, yeah, to look like Cass's sister. You grew up a foot. So yeah, as the spell would end off, you would just immediately go back to being little Nori.
So just to keep that in mind, that like there will be a noticeable height difference, and maybe people won't care, people won't notice, but I'll be keeping a pretty conscious eye on the crowd and like our placement within this meeting, just as like a general context for Nori.
Frog follows behind as well. She's really excited about this more than she should be, so she's like trying not to like skip in there and is like you can tell, and like she's probably like tapping her hand on her leg like, you know, very excitedly, but trying to keep it cool, but she's not doing the best job.
Okay. Then before we set the scene, Nori, one more question for you. Do you think you'd still be in your heavy armor, or do you think you would have left your armor at the hotel to not draw more attention to yourself?
Would we feel, or would Nori have felt rather, or we collectively, that placing it at the hotel would have been a good place to keep it? Like
I mean,
a
like
safe
you would
place?
be safe to keep. It's more the question of whether or not you want to have your armor on.
I'm gonna keep it on, just in case.
Yes, Frog meant to cast Mage Armor after the little short rest that we spent writing in our journals or whatever we were doing. Okay.
Okay.
Cash also just wanted to make sure that his mage armor was still noted as up.
Yep. Cool, so we get down. As you enter, you kind of enter into like a little subterranean cellar. that's lit by candlelight. It's got all sorts of candles all over it. At the front of the hall, there's a person that's currently talking. You guys don't seem to have arrived late, but like you arrived like in that like, oh, the meeting is going to start soon, let's just start situation. There's someone up on a lectern talking to another person, and they seem to be putting up like a big map of the city that kind of has like points of weakness in the wall or stuff like that. um, One of the people up there appears to be a half-elf man sitting in a wheelchair. He is the one that's like kind of securing the bottom. He's got very long blonde hair and he looks very elven. The only thing that would really betray his like not full elf features is that like just the way he carries himself is too lax to be a full elf. So he looks a little half elf more in posture and stance than anything else. The other one up there is a person, and they have like a really long beard and really long hair all tied back, and they seem to be like someone that would be more like a fighter of some kind. And as you walk in, they are all just up there. There's also a couple of rows of like chairs set up very like conference hall style that are like kind of filling up. There's probably 30 or 40 chairs in here, but so far there's only like 20 people in the room, including yourselves.
Solid. I will, if we're going in like Cass, Nori, Frog, Nori will make sure that she like flanks Cass to one side, so still behind him, but making sure that like she lets Frog and Cass kind of lead them or lead us where they want to go, because Nori will not want to draw attention to herself.
Frog would like to sit not super close to the front, so kind of still there to support, but like does not want to be in the center of attention. So I don't know if Cass or Nori have any other.
Cass will sort of go and assess like the general layout of the room, and then take a seat not all the way in the back to look suspicious, but sit maybe one row forward towards the edge, so he can sort of see everybody's actions and reactions of what's being discussed.
Okay. Cool. As you all kind of like sit down, the shopkeep that you met earlier, I don't think we gave him a canonical name, so we will name him George. So George, the shopkeep from earlier, comes up, like the one that was at the Marshall store, and kind of like welcomes you in and says like, hey, like thanks for being here, and all of that, as well as that like a dragonborn sorceress that you all saw at the magic shop. The one that was running that, the one whose son is the alchemy major. She's here as well. She's kind of like sitting up front talking with some people. So those are like two people that you would see, but as the meeting gets going, the people up on stage kind of introduce themselves. So the first one, his name is Kane. He wheels himself up, the one that uses the wheelchair. And he is here to like give a thing. And the other one is Jace, who is our non-binary friend that was more of the fighter. So they are there helping, like giving everything out. And it seems like the two of them are the city leaders in terms of like how to do the rebellion. And so Jace like has pointed out that they have went around and found spots that are weak in the wall, or found spots where like the stone wasn't melded correctly to the gate, and if they wanted to just do a straight attack on that, different spots that anyone that's more strength focused would be able to just like take down the gate if they did enough force with it enough time. And then Kane is telling people, if you're more magically or more stealth minded, you can come with me, and like we found weak points in the wall that we can just like blow up the wall essentially and create more entrances into town.
And based on Kane and Jace's description, sort of quick run through of what the thoughts are, can Cass ascertain anything from the crowd? Like, is the crowd like concerned? Are they all on board? Or is this sort of a meeting to get the people involved more?
Kind of that a mix of the latter points, where it's a meeting of people that have expressed interest and discontent, but also like you don't know how many of them feel safe doing this. You feel like this meeting has been like taking a little bit of time to set up as they're like trying to just like put prods in and see like who was where. And it's very clear that it's like not everyone that's discontent because like Dakota wasn't invited. She's still at the tavern, but it could be like that she needs to run the house, or it could just be like they didn't think she'd go through with it. So you get the feeling that this meeting is for people who have expressed or shown enough action that they'd be willing to stand up, but also enough people that like they think they would actually act. So this is kind of like a recruitment slash like here's the plan for tonight if you choose to go with it sort of thing.
Gotcha. So just sort of letting the air settle, Cass is just going to sit back for a second, let the conversations continue, and sort of see where it goes. I do have a general question with nope, that's the wrong thing. So as the conversation continues, Cass will sort of chime in from the back, trying not to make it clear it's him, like talking specifically, just blend into the crowd in general. But just gonna bring up the point that while these are good solutions, this seems to be a band-aid on a larger wound, for lack of a better term. Like we can damage the wall, make more entrances in, but with the state of funds going into this wall, it'll be repaired in a short period of time. Has the group thought of a more long-term solution, how we can better help the city in terms of just getting this whole practice removed if possible?
Yeah. Go ahead and roll a persuasion check with advantage.
Guidance.
Frog very quietly under her breath is just gonna start chanting. No one else can hear, just her. Assassinate Bellman. Assassinate Bellman. Assassinate Bellman.
Make a stealth check.
Okay.
I rolled 24.
I don't remember.
Okay, nice.
Not nat 20.
Frog, you are good. No one hears you assassinate Bellman's chanting unless you intend someone to. And I think, Cass, as you say that and your point really resonates, like, the people of the town, like, are all, like, aware of their skill, but like, they're not, you can tell by this meeting they haven't thought further through it. I think they kind of invite you to the front to, like, kind of elaborate on, like, what you would think different long-term plans are, because their thought was just kind of like, we need to make it so that people come back so that we can have our livelihood. Like, even if the gate gets sealed up again, we can blow it up again, but we need people to start coming to town, and haven't moved past that like thought of like, oh, we need our jobs back. But as an outsider who was brought in a very clear point, I think they'd listen to whatever it is you feel like saying.
So, seeing the gestures forward, Cass will stand up, and prior to standing, he'll lean towards Nori and Frog and be like, this would be a good time for someone to take notes. And he's just going to glance at Nori, since she's always taking notes. And Cass will get up sort of begrudgingly, not really wanting to be the center of tension, and go up and sort of have a more candid conversation with Kane and Jace. So as I'm going up, I'll sort of just scan the crowd. Is there anyone that seems out of place there, but potentially for the wrong reasons?
Yeah, either make like perception or insight.
Okay.
And while Cass is doing this, Nori will take note of what Cass said and pull out her notebook nonchalantly and try and keep it close-chested, or close to chest, whatever, and take some notes based on what she's hearing. Can I also just get like a general perception check of everyone in the room, making sure, not with Cass, but like at least with Nori and Frog, no one's paying like super attention to them, so to speak, since we are new, so to speak?
Yeah.
I will do that. Not very personal. No. 15.
Okay. And Cass, what was
And
your roll?
I rolled a 13.
Okay. Yeah, your rolls were pretty mid, and I wish I could lie. I rolled a 3 and a 4 on my stealth and deception checks. So Kess, I think you, as you're kind of like doing a glance, you have like a bit of arcane magic stuck in you right now from like reading through that contract and trying to understand it. And like just for a brief moment, you like look at someone and like a shimmer happens over them, and you can tell that they have an illusion cast on them, very similar to Nori. There's someone disguised selfing themselves in here, and I think Nori from the back of the hall, you see that same person is like more fidgety than anyone in like a safe environment. Like Frog is fidgeting with excitement. Like Frog's like, we get to do a crime, yay. This person like seems to be like they're trying to keep their composure down and seems very out of place. No one else seems to notice that like this person's here, which I think would indicate to both of you that it's probably like whatever the disguise is of someone who should be at the meeting, but there's someone disguised and that's pretending to be someone else.
So they should be at the meeting, they just don't want anyone to know their identity?
The like current face, like the disguise, is someone that should
Yeah.
be here. You don't have any idea whether or not the person disguising themselves is supposed to be here.
Alright, that literally made no sense in my brain. Thank you for explaining that. I think Nori will just like lean her head over to Frog and whisper some of this information and then ask, should we do anything about it? Or yeah, just that.
Frog definitely thinks that something should be done about it, but knowing that she doesn't really want to cause a scene, she's not really sure what we should do. Are we sitting like Nori, Frog, Cass, or?
Well, Cass is now at the front of the stage.
Oh, right, that's right.
But I'd imagine like you and Frog are still together. You and Nori are still together.
Okay, yeah. We don't have anything that would help us do this in a casual way, so I don't know.
Have anything prepared?
Did I detect thoughts on this person? How does?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to do that. Oh.
Sure. Are you just trying to get their surface level thoughts, or are you trying to like push into their mind?
Probably push into their mind to get the most information possible.
Okay. And it's what, a wisdom saving throw from him? Got a 14. What's your spell save DC?
It's 14.
Okay, so they just passed, so you don't push deeper.
Okay.
But like at the surface level, you can tell a lot of their thoughts are like just kind of like that anxious thought of like everyone's looking at you, don't sit that weird, like don't sit when you were like the guy that's tied up, he would act like this, so make sure you act like this, and like very much like playing through like a script in their head of how to look like and how to act like the person they're trying to be.
Okay, so definitely should not be here. Frog will relay this info to Nori.
And then Cass, since you're parallel giving a discussion, what are you saying as they...
Question. How far away is Cass?
Yep. This whole room's only like 50 feet, so...
I would imagine that, Cass is close enough to me that I would use silent speech to kind of relay this information, but also, Frog has not done that before, so before... Actually...
Yeah, so explain to Cass what happens. Like, he's mid-speech and...
Yeah, while he's talking, Frog will just be like, Cass, this is Frog. There's someone who definitely should not be here. It's that, if you look at me, I'm pointing at him. So, just thought you should know. Bye!
So, as Cass is just sort of like addressing the group, he's just gonna take a quick 1 or 2 second pause as he's now hearing this going on in his head, and just close his eyes for a second and just take a quick glance at Nori and Frog, and just do a quick like scratch the back of his head and nod, and then continue. And as they were doing this, Cass would have been addressing the group, he would have went up to Kane and Jace, introduced himself, thanked them for inviting him for first off, and tell them sort of first thing he would say to the group is just thank you for having us. I know most of you do not know us. We are strangers to this village for the most part. We've been here for the day. But being someone from this land who's sort of grown up and seen this type of treatment of the common folk, Castle just continue that. I'm not a fan of it. It's something that I've tried to correct throughout the land as I've grown here. And again, he would just go back to thanking everyone for being very genuine and upfront about what's going on. And as he says genuine and upfront, I'm gonna make direct eye contact with this person that's fidgeting in their seat that is obviously disguised, I noticed, and see if they react in any way.
I'm gonna have them roll a deception check at disadvantage because you're calling them out. I will say another thing that Cass may or may not have in mind as he's like giving this is that Frog is actually known in town. Like Frog has performed here a couple times. Like, so the fact that you're with her makes you all less of strangers because Frog has been here a few times. Yeah, so they rolled a 15 both times. Like they got double 15s, which becomes a 17. So like they don't betray themselves immediately. And then let's see if Jace or Kane or either of the two storekeepers can spot them. Okay, so the marshal guy doesn't get it, but as like you make eye contact and like everyone kind of follows the eye of the speaker, both Jace and Kane as well as that shopkeeper who we'll name Delilah, all kind of like look over and get the vibe. And Delilah's an agent of chaos, so she's going to cast Dispel Magic on him. And anyone gonna try and stop her counterspell? Anyone gonna do anything, or are we letting Delilah be an agent of chaos?
Oh, Delilah, go.
Okay.
Nori will just pass. Nori is just gonna like be watching all of this and like internally make a note to say, I'm really not that chaotic. And then watch the note come out later as the group talks about it. But we'll get like a small little smile on her face. Also, are we like plenty of time in that the bracers are still working?
That's an excellent question. I'm gonna let Cass say what he wants to say, and then
I was just gonna ask for clarification on the room itself that we are in. I'm assuming this room is dimly lit. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, it's just a couple candles.
So seeing the agent of chaos, Delilah, just being like, yeah, let's guns blazing, we're going in. I'm just going to cast dancing lights above where she's dispelling to make it very clear if it drops, we know who's there.
Okay. Good. I will let you do that. And you're actually going to give give Nori the help action through doing that. Because Delilah just steps up and casts upcasts her Dispel Magic just in case the person is trying to do it at any high level. And while she's casting Get Rid of Dispel Magic on him, it also gets rid of Nori's Dispel Magic. But Cass, you've drawn the attention over to this man, who, as you all see, is the guy who is the toll collector. The really annoying guy who took your gold at the start of you entering the town has made his way into the meeting, and everyone recognizes him immediately, especially with the dancing lights. But Nori, you are back in fairy form, and I'm going to need a quick stealth check before anything else happens. But yeah, Frog.
Okay, well that one wasn't though. That would be not the applicable dice, so it's still not bad. Okay, alright. That's not bad. Okay, alright. 12. At disadvantage.
Okay. And Frog?
Immediately after seeing that Nori has, turned back into her true form, will cast invisibility on her.
Okay. So yeah, all of the attention goes over onto their casting of the dancing lights draws everyone's attention as like 3 dark navy orbs start floating right above the head of the toll keeper who's been taking everyone's money as they enter town. And I think the vibe suddenly changes to like they're gonna kill this man. I think Cass, you especially would have the insight of like questioning is better than killing. So if there's anything the 3 of you want to try and do before combat breaks out, the villagers are ready to kill the man who's been taking their money and is now infiltrating this meeting, which means that he probably has one of their friends locked up somewhere.
Nori's just gonna be note taking this whole time because I know that Frog cast invisibility on me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Nori will just be like wanting to like eat popcorn and be like, wow, this human stuff's really interesting. But we'll continue to not do anything because I don't want to draw attention based on what Frog just did for me.
Assuming that there's a lot of commotion going on and talking and yelling, and Frog is just gonna be like, "Let's go!"
Okay, and Cass?
Seeing my group just egging this on, again, Cass is going to audibly sigh and just be like, "Ugh, fine, I'll do it myself." Seeing the anger growing in the crowd itself, Cass is going to take the lights and actually combine the floor into a glowing humanoid form, and put it behind the dude so he doesn't want to try to run out, and have it put its hand out, and as it's doing that, just yell just loud enough to not like disturb people outside, but to get everyone in order, and just be like, wait, leave him alone for the hot second. And as I'm saying this, I'm going to look back at Kane and Jace, and in a softer voice just tell them, this may be our opportunity, or the town's opportunity, to incite a bigger change. They're obviously aware that we are trying to do something here, to where they're sending people to infiltrate what you are doing. If we can have him help us, this is the best chance we have at this point to have a more impactful change on what is happening in the city. So I would suggest that we try to calm everyone down and see what this man knows. But again, this is your town. We're visitors here. I can't stop you from doing this.
Yeah. Go ahead and first roll a persuasion check just for Kane and Jace to see if they buy in and are willing to help you calm the crowd.
I'm going to guidance myself. You're not there.
Well, right, but I was wondering. I know guidance only lasts for a minute. It would be over a minute, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And also if you cast it, you come out of invisibility.
True.
Oh, no, I meant the guidance I had put on him earlier.
Yeah.
Before we walk up there. Okay.
Not natural 20.
Okay, so they'll give you a help action. So go ahead and roll with advantage to try and calm the crowd. I'm going to let you know it's a 25 DC.
Oh. Is this persuasion?
They are all pissed. Yeah, persuasion.
Persuasion? Okay. Well, thankfully I'm good at that.
Dude.
So, let's do 1 second. Oh no. Oh no. I got a 24.
You can cast guidance on yourself again.
That was with guidance.
Oh, what a shame. So your point makes sense, and Jace and Kane are trying to help calm it down, but there's just so much noise going on as like people are seeing the man who has prevented their families from being fed, are seeing the man who has taken their gold every time they've entered the city, are seeing the man that's preventing their families from visiting them because they can't even afford to see their families anymore. The like people who aren't able to leave the town because they feel like if they leave town they might not be able to pay to come back home. They're seeing the man that's like the physical manifestation of that, and they all are going to get in an attack. I'm going to do this, and then if we all want to do anything else, we can do that as step 2. It'll kind of be like, this is the first round of combat-ish, and then you all can come in on second round because you've done stuff. So I think there's only 4 people here who would actually be able to hurt him, and that's like George, Delilah, and like 2 others of the people that are here. So they're the only ones that are actually going to get attacks on him. His AC is 15. Delilah gets a 14. George gets a 10. Villager 1 gets a 16, and Villager 2 gets a 16. And so 2 of the like more commoners that you all haven't met or interacted with run up with swords and rapiers, and they... Okay. Both only roll 2s, so this guy only takes 8 points of damage total. But you can see, like, even with your lights up behind Cass, like 2 people run up and like try and stab him through with their swords. We can go to round 2. What would you all like to do here? And if you all want to get in on the combat, we can roll initiative. But I'd be happy to have like story round, conflict round, story round, if that's how we want to do it.
Frog is
Nori basically. Sorry, Frog. Nori this entire time will basically just stay invisible. She does not want to add to already this chaos, though there's like little bubbling gurgle inside of her really wanting to, but she knows she can understand from Cass's discussion with the other 2 and Frog's excitement that this is something that's like pretty important. So if need be, Nori will also back away and go to like the cellar wall to be out of the way as much as possible if that needs to be in the storyline. But if not, she'll just stay next to Frog most of the time. So that's gonna be Nori.
Frog is just so excited that like all of her brain functioning is just out the window. So she doesn't think about spells or anything and is just like arms swinging, like running in towards the action.
Okay. Like, as in you want to make an unarmored attack, or are you going to try and hit him with your scimitar?
No, just my hands. I have no...
Yeah. Go ahead and roll an attack roll.
Okay. Does a 16 hit?
Yep.
Okay, and then,
And then it's just your strength modifier.
my strength modifier?
Yeah.
That's not helpful. -1.
Okay, so you do 1 point of damage.
Okay.
Nice.
Even though it's negative?
The minimum damage you can do is
Okay.
1. Cass?
Frog actually punched him in the face and healed him instantaneously is what happened there.
Magic fists.
No, so I'm gonna leave you to decide how we do this. I'm going to, as like this is all starting to unfold, I'm gonna look at Kane and Jace, and are they just letting this happen, like, or do they agree with me?
They seem to be on your side. Like, your point to them made a lot of sense, and they're trying to help calm the crowd. But like they're on your side here.
Okay, and I'm going to jump from the front and get up next to him, sort of like. How far away is he from me?
15 feet, 10 feet.
Yeah, I'm going to get right up next to him. Try to get between the people that are actively trying to stab him from the back. I'll drop Dancing Lights, and I'm going to cast Chill Touch on him, sort of to try to appease the crowd that's trying to kill him, to an extent where once he's down, I'm going to drop it instantly, so he doesn't die. Just knock him out.
Okay.
If he dies.
Yeah. Just to remind you, because this is all going to work, but if you roll too high, the only way to do non-lethal damage is with a melee attack. So a spell or a range attack cannot be
He's been hit how
non-lethal.
many times?
He's been hit
How many times?
3 times, 2 by a sword and 1 by Frog just punching him. He doesn't look super close to dying, but just like in case, so that you, Dan, know, in case Cass rolls really well, this might end up killing him.
Ooh boy. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me think about this really quick.
Yep.
Oh man.
Oral dilemma of Cass. We can make a little song while he's just thinking. Well, yeah.
That's not helping.
So,
Okay. I know what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Yes, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cast Hex on him as my bonus action,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna punch him in the stomach.
Nice. And what are you gonna hex? Which trait?
Oh, that's a good call. Let's do dexterity on the odd chance he tries to escape or is able to try to get out.
Yeah. Cool.
So, and then a punch is just a d20, right?
Yeah, you just roll, and then it's your strength mod. You're doing an unarmed attack.
Yes.
while Cass is doing that, for Kate's understanding for Nori, I can't cast anything, or that then nullifies Frog's spell, correct?
If you take an action of any kind, your invisibility is gone.
I take any action. Okay.
It's like you can
alright.
get up in there if you want to like have advantage. You can get up there because you're stealth and then attack from hiding, and you'd have advantage. But the invisibility drops if you take if you attack, cast a spell, or really do any big action. It's down.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Okay, and that was in. It's just. Is there anything added to that d20?
It'd be your proficiency. Yeah.
Okay, so it's an unnatural 20 again.
Okay, then yeah, you punch him. What's your strength
Okay.
mod?
It's a +1.
Okay, so yeah, you also do 1 damage.
But hold up, you have the hex damage on top because it is
Yep.
a hit attack. For an additional 2 damage.
Okay. Yeah, he just got punched in the face and then punched in the stomach. He's not feeling great. Okay,
And
you
then-
three are.
After I punch him, just be like, all right, I think he's got the point. As everyone's still closing in, hoping to stop this one last time. Not as an action,
Mhm.
just as a last.
Yeah. Then we will go back into the combat round. So he will go first. He's gonna attempt to Misty Step out of there because he does not want to take the opportunity attacks of running away. So he's going to try and Misty Step, which is only a second level. So it is immediately counterspelled by Delilah. She sees him start to get out of there, and she throws up a counterspell and knocks that out, which takes out her turn as well, meaning that villagers 1, 2, and George are getting their turn. No. So villager 1 misses George, and villager 2 hit. Villager 2 does 5 damage, and I think you being up there, George gets your message. On his roll, he's going to try and do a non-lethal attack. Good job, because George did a lot. So George just the back end of his greatsword and punts him in the side of the head with it, and he goes down. He's not dead, but you have him unconscious in the room.
Everyone's still trying
Dude.
to attack the down body.
Frog will start chanting, tie him up, tie him up, tie him up.
And hearing that, I'm just gonna point and snap at Frog and be like, just nod, and I'm just gonna take out rope right away before anyone starts to just mutilating a downed body.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I won't make any. You've been a commanding presence here. I'm not going to make you have to persuade people not to down a body. They got a lot of their rage out, and I think as that rage subsides, they kind of realize oh, you may have had a point. So you have a downed body now, and a town hall meeting that is halfway in progress and doesn't really seem to have a chance to keep going on the same trajectory.
All right, so I'm imagining that I get this guy tied up and then just sort of bring him to not the front where the Kane and Jace are standing, but one of the front chairs, and just sit him in it while he's knocked out. And I will turn around really quick. I'll just tell Kane and Jace, be like, I'll be right back. Go to Nori and Frog and be like, Well, I'll go to Frog, sorry, because Nori, in theory, is not there.
Yeah.
And just look at Frog and be like, thank you for the suggestion. Can we try to tone down the violence just a little bit? Just a little bit. But I do appreciate it. And then just gonna like sort of smirk and walk away back up to the front.
Can Nori, would it be a stealth check if I'm still sitting next to Frog, go to Cass and be like, "You can't see me."
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
it
never
would
mind.
be.
Nope. All right. Nope. We're not gonna do that. Just wanted to make sure it would be
Okay.
a check that I. Yep. Nope. I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You sure you don't want it? It'd be fun.
Well, it would be a stealth check in terms of having other people not hear me say it.
Yep.
Exactly. So no, I'm not gonna do that. I don't know. Nori's chaotic energy is only so much sometimes.
Cool. Yeah, so what do you
as
do then?
Cass is walking away, he's actually going to like take 2 steps and like pivot back around and go back to Frog and be like, actually, do you want to come up here with me really quick? Only because people know you more and you may be able to send a better message than I will.
Yeah, Frog is 100% on board.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I just sort of I see Frog and Frog, how are you like jovially going up there, like excited to be okay? I'm going to just like let her take the lead and just follow quietly at this point.
Nori is gonna try and go towards like one of the back walls and be away from people, just so that way she doesn't have to follow closely behind Cass and Frog.
And as Frog goes up, the first thing I'm going to do now is go back up to Kane and Jace and just sort of like ask for their ear really quick, as this guy's still, I'm sure, out cold.
Yeah.
And just tell them.
He's going to be out for like an hour.
Yeah, and just tell them, just so you guys are aware, we have our other companion in the back corner. She is invisible. She got scared during the battle. So please don't pay that any mind. She is with us. She is not another spy. Just so, because we already know someone can detect magic, so we don't need somebody getting her detected again, just so they're aware and they can let everyone else know.
That makes sense. Frog will go up to where the toll man guy is and then ask Jace and George. Is that his name?
Kane is the other
Kane.
leader. George is like the shop leader.
Got it. Okay. Kane and Jace. If there's like a place we can keep him.
Yeah, the city has a jail. Like if you wanted to take him to jail, or if you wanted to keep it more private, there's always the thought of like taking him back to one of the rooms in the inn, or taking them to like the back storage rooms of one of the shops. You're all like in the middle of the market anyway, so getting to either Delilah or George's shop wouldn't be that hard. I think that's what they'd immediately suggest.
Okay. Frog suggests Delilah's shop in the back, to keep him there, and then. Who are... So the main people that we would want to question him with would be George, Delilah, Kane, and Jace?
Jace.
Okay. And then we'll suggest that we bring them... all of us go together and then wait for him to wake up.
Okay, so you're kind of like telling everyone else like disband and go home, and like a report will come from their people when they can.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and like you're not like famous, but you're known in the area. Like you bring people in, so I think the fact that like they're like, oh hey, it's Frog, like they'll let that happen. Like you're not like giving an order from a stranger. It's like, hey guys. Yeah, they might like expect a show or two, so maybe like now you have to do a free show as like we didn't get to commit terrorism, but like they'll listen to you and they'll kind of like slowly head out in like waves, so it's not immediately like 15 people leaving underground at the same time. Right. They'll like trickle out, and then that also gives you all time to like safely get this man over to the back room where you all are able to go interview him. Interrogate, whatever we want to call it.
For Nori's knowledge, would she have heard what Cass said to Jace and
No.
Kane? Okay, perfect.
I mean, at this point, Frog is leading the conversation, so Cass, I would have just sort of taken a break from what was going on and just go and tell her, like, hey, they know you're here. They don't know you are here, but they know our companion is hidden back here. So, and as I'm telling her this, just reminder, if your invisibility is going to drop, just make yourself look big and act like you're sleeping. So people don't bother.
By the time that the guy will come back to consciousness, invisibility will have run out. So, like, when you go over to the shop, you will be an undisguised, uninvisible Nori, unless you do something else.
With her cloak on, could she be disguised as like a halfling or a gnome or?
I mean, yeah, she could give off that like vibe, but if anyone like looks closely, like if there's nothing you're doing to actually alter your appearance, like if anyone were to like look at you or ask you to take your hood off, you would very much be Nori.
Well, I guess we're gonna find out.
So, okay, if that's the case, knowing that we could have an issue with this, Cass will go back up to Frog and at like, Frog, do you have sending, or do you have any way to message me if I'm not here?
Only if you're 30 feet away from me. I could also just cast invisibility again.
If you have that ability, I think let's do that
Okay.
so we can get through this without. Otherwise, I'll have to walk Nori back like she's my child to the tavern and sort of like put her to bed in quotes so that I can leave and come back here.
Okay.
So let's do that if we can.
Assuming I kind of know around the time when it would wear off, I'll just wait and then recast it when that happens.
Okay, yeah, I'd say like within like the hour you had of the original casting, it would be like the last 10 minutes of like right before your all private meeting happens is when you'd have to re-up it. So you'd have like 50 minutes of new meeting time with an invisible Nori.
Okay.
As long as you can stay concentrating on the spell and everything.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, you all go over to Delilah's shop. You've all been in the front where it's like very much like a little thing of like, here's some potions, here's some like random potions, here's some overpriced magic items, here's some gems and stuff. As she takes you all into the back room, you see like it has its own wall that's like very clearly her son's like alchemy studio. Like it has like every sort of material you could need, every sort of like magic casting focus or anything he would need to maybe mix up his own potions and things, as well as like a spot that's like making gems, so that not making gems, but like refining them so she can sell them with her jeweler's tools and everything, as well as just like a back room that has you can tell on the outline of the wall it's got like an anti-magic field on it so that no one would be able to cast spells inside unless they were permitted to. And it seems to be where she really keeps her storeroom of like the most important stuff. So I think the real question is, like, your spell is already up. So, like, you could pass through it, but when you're inside, like, you won't be able to cast anything unless you ask her to allow you to cast stuff. Would you let them know that Nori is still with you, or would you hope nothing needs to come of it?
I will let Frog actually go in and handle this, seeing that she has sort of calmed down from the random bloodlust that has started from the riot. I'll let her sort of handle this part, and I will stay outside of this circle, just sort of with Nori in general. And I'll tell Frog before she goes in, I'm going to just run surveillance around the house. Only because there was a lot of noise at that meeting. We don't need to be interrupted when this is happening. So I'm going to go sit by just outside somewhere inconspicuously, and I will use Quizzle and switch with him and have him run up to the roof and see what's going on outside of the building and if anyone's trying to come in.
Nice.
Okay.
So
is Nori going to come in with me then?
I would say Nori stays by me.
Okay.
In case.
Well, Nori has prepared Zone of Truth, which may or may not be helpful in an interrogative state.
Okay, so but either way,
Okay, I will stay outside and do recon. I will let you both handle it.
but if you use
Is there a Go ahead.
if you use Zone of Truth, won't your invisibility go away? Or is that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, we kind of established that it would just be weird for me to be in town. Like, it wouldn't be an all-out brawl.
Nope. And it was like what set up the thought was that Alto and Seth let you know that like outsiders in general are seen with caution. And like in this part, which is where most of the fighting between the humans and the druids and the Fae happened, you would be considered an outsider. It's like no one here has said any like anti-Fae anything.
okay?
It was just you all wanted to be very safe coming in.
I think that Frog would want to talk to George and Delilah and Jason. Kane. I don't know why I can't remember that name. And let them know that Nori is there, and probably explain like she is a Fae folk, so like that's the reason why she's been invisible. Not so much because she's going here to do bad things, but because we didn't want to disrupt anyone in the community. And then see how their reaction is.
Yeah. I think that I don't think they're fairy racists. I think that they are like pretty understanding. I think they kind of have that like the hesitancy at the start, but when you very clearly and justify, and like you're a smart person, you know how to word things. Like charisma might not be your thing, like you can word things in an argument in like a debate style. I think you're going to like have very little issue being like, this is why we just needed to be safe. This is what's happening. She's not part of anything, and you're able to like break that down. And they're like, okay, well we can let her inside, and like they would ask like she doesn't remain invisible, so they can like make sure that they know what's going on with her. But
Right.
They're not getting all fairy racist.
Okay, and I guess then Frog will go back outside and get Nori.
Nori will attempt to act still as even keel as possible, and then go up to Delilah, introduce herself. Hi, I'm Nori. I wanted to try and be helpful in this situation, and I can potentially help this passed out man be forced to tell the truth if you would allow me to cast that within your anti-magic area.
Yeah, I think Delilah would go, oh, well, yeah, I think that'd be a very helpful way of knowing how to get some information out of him. Yeah, and she like kind of like puts her hand on your shoulder, and you like feel like just a pulse go out across you of like the same color as that field, and you know that like you'd now be able to cast inside.
Okay, so whenever appropriate, I will do that.
Okay. Alright, so I think now would be like the most appropriate time if you're all going in. Like the amount to get over there would have like taken up the time. He's starting to wake up, and you're gonna cast Zone of Truth.
Once we're physically in the anti-magic chamber and he's like bolted down or whatever we're doing, so that way.
Yeah,
bolted down.
Sorry, not bolted down.
I tied to a chair.
Tied to a chair, because the radius is within a 15-foot sphere. I want to just make sure it's centered on him, since that is like a component of the spell. So
yeah. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and have everyone roll their charisma saving throws. So I'm gonna need Frog, Nori, and our 4 friends and our bad guy all roll charisma saving throws to see if they have to tell the truth. Nori, what's your spell save DC?
Yes. I think it's 14. Hold on. I know. Yeah, it's 14.
Is it your level 4?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 14.
4.
Okay.
So Frog, you cannot lie.
Okay.
I got a 15.
You got and you said your save is 14?
Yes.
Okay. Jace passes. Kane does not. what's her name? Delilah does, but no surprise there. Her holding is charisma. George gets a nat 1, and then our little prisoner here rolls a 10, which is, he doesn't have an addition, so he is under the effect of the spell.
Do I need to maintain concentration?
Does it say concentration on it?
No.
Nope. Yeah, it's just a spell.
I'm gonna let everyone know that it only lasts a little while, just as an FYI. So if we have any important questions for him, we might want to get it out of the way. Because do I get a feeling that he can't lie, or we just...
Yeah, the spell is that you know he can't lie, and if they had succeeded, you would have known they had succeeded. He doesn't need to answer your questions, he just can't lie in his answer. Like, he can give non-answers and, like, half-truths. He just can't fully lie.
Okay. So I'll just say, I can tell that he won't be able to tell a full lie. Just as a general FYI. And then, like, Nora will, like, take a step back and kind of, like, lean against the wall.
Yeah, and Frog, that also applies to you and Kane and George. You can, like, not tell the answer, but you can't lie. Okay. And who's leading the investigation?
I feel like it would
Frog's gonna
be weird if...
sorry.
I feel like it would be weird if Frog did, because she's not, like, a resident of this place. So I would imagine Jace or Kane, but also Frog can assist if needed.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, I just didn't know if you all had, like, questions you wanted beforehand. I think Delilah, being the most, like, charismatic and approachable one of them, will be the one that kind of steps up. And I think her first question would just straight up be, who are you working for? And the guy would answer that he is working for the betterment of the country and the estate.
Frog, getting too excited and angry, will just be like, who is the person you're working for?
The person I am working for is a high-ranking member of the city.
Does that mean that do you work for the archdeacon or the normal deacon?
It's not a normal deacon. Are you thinking of the Lord or the Duke?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to figure out if he works for Jarls Bellman.
Yes. Jarls Bellman is a Duke.
Okay. How about James Whitmore?
That is the archdeacon of the church.
And that's not pertaining here?
James Whitmore appointed Jarls Bellman as the Duke of the area.
Okay, so do you work for someone that identifies as a man or a woman?
A man.
Do you work for Jarls Bellman? Sorry. Jarls Bellman.
Yes.
Okay.
Frog will ask, do you have direct contact with Jarls Bellman?
Contact comes in many formats. It is possible that direct is one of them.
Does Delilah or Kane or anyone else have questions for him?
I mean, they will, but, like, the way that this is actually playing out in real time is that you guys are just hounding him with questions. Like, these spaces don't exist in the world. And so, like, they kind of haven't been given a second to ask a question, because it's been, Nori, frog, Nori, frog. I think you'd have to, like, open space for them to get back in.
Nori will look at them and she'll say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and she'll back away.
Yeah, I think Delilah would step back up and say, is the money being taken at the gate have any intended purpose of aiding the town or benefiting us in any way? And the guy would go, no. And I think that gets a huge reaction from all three of them. Cass, on the outside, let's go ahead and just have you roll to make sure no one's coming or anything. Investigation or perception, whatever Quizzle wants to roll.
Well, he's a squirrel, so.
Hmm.
Oh, Jesus.
But he's a fancy magic squirrel.
It's a solid 14.
Yeah, you feel pretty confident that like the direct perimeter of the building is still fully safe. There's no one coming up. Like from the your vantage, you can see the whole around. No one's trying to get in right now. You feel pretty good about that.
Okay, knowing that, I'm going to switch back. I'll leave him up there so I can switch back if needed, but I will make my way into the room, just sort of like knock, come in, and I'll go into the. So if I go into the zone of truth, do I then have to roll?
Yeah, you have to roll a charisma saving throw.
Okay, so I will, as Delilah's starting her questions, I would say that I'm probably making my way back in then.
Okay.
So
go ahead and
what
roll.
is it?
Charisma saving throw.
Charisma saving.
About how long has it been since we've been in here asking the
minute.
question?
You still got spell time left.
14.
So you beat it.
So you are not compelled to tell the truth. You can do what you want.
And I can't tell who was compelled, right? I just don't
only
have to.
Nori knows.
And I'm just gonna take Cass just takes a backseat, sort of letting them. I'll chime in when I have a question, but
Yeah. Yeah, so you would have walked in like right as he spends a couple like seconds, like probably like 30 seconds trying to craft an answer that's not no money is intending to go to the town. But he spends a lot of time trying to come up with that answer, and you can see he's trying to run every calculation, which means nothing he can think of is going to benefit the town from this taxation. I think Delilah would try and slap him, but she's also smart enough to know that he's like fragile right now, and she doesn't want to knock him back out. She takes a step back, and then Jace would walk up, and they would ask, like, is the intention to use this town as like a cash grab and then let the town fall? And our friend would say that is one of the possibilities in which a future potential for the land of this town could go in. And you see a lot of rage pull up that answer.
Has the Jarl's just kidding. Do you know of other plans, potential plans for the land of this town?
Yes.
Nori will just ask quickly then, what are the other potential ideas for the land of this town?
Winter Estate.
Is this like
Training ground. Scorched earth policy.
And for Nori's info, not asking a follow-up question, training ground could then just mean like training an army. Then it's just a country they're training an army, not for necessarily a specific purpose.
Yeah,
That
you
makes
wouldn't
any
be able
sense.
to read into that anyway. Like, it's
Okay.
commonplace, and like, I don't think Nori would know this, but the others would, that like, the lords would have like their own small militia, just to like make sure that like no one comes after their house or anything. Yeah.
Fair. And then Nori will take a step back again.
Okay.
Frog would step up and ask him how he got the invitation, who he took it from.
One of your friends was clumsy and was talking too loud.
Okay. And then Frog will ask, who knows that he went to this meeting?
The people who should know.
Who should know?
My supervisors.
Who is your supervisor?
People who head the city.
Who heads the city?
I think at that point he would relent and be like, Duke Bellman asked me to send a report on what was said at this meeting.
Does he expect this report by mail? Or in person?
We typically communicate by mail, as he does not typically leave Solana. So I would imagine that.
Frog will turn to the others and suggest that they force him to write a letter to Bellman with the details of what he heard in the meeting, but false details that maybe could lead to a trap to defeat Bellman. And Frog will see what others think.
Nori will be in the background, kind of nodding her head. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cass is going to lie and say he can't leave here alive.
And yeah, go ahead and roll an intimidation check, Cass.
18.
18? Yeah. You see like a look of genuine panic go across this man's face. And I think with that, we will wrap up this episode. Continue next time with whatever happens to our little thieving friend. Anyway, thank you all for playing, listeners. Thank you for listening. If you want to get in contact with us, you can always email us at helpactionneeded@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on social media. We have our Instagram and our Threads, both of which are Help Action Needed. You can also rate or review or leave comments on the show and let us know your thoughts. It's been really fun hearing from those of you that have reached out, and it's really exciting for us all to read. But yeah, anyway, thank you, and we'll see you for the next episode. Yeah, goodbye.